It started with a man walking barefoot through the suburbs at 3 a.m. No ID, no wallet, just confusion and fear. He said his name was Daniel Reeves. He said he lived at 42 Maple Drive. But when police took him there, a different family answered the door, and they swore they had lived there for years. They'd never seen him before. That night, a simple missing person call turned into one of the most chilling cases in small-town history, a case where memory, identity, and reality itself began to blur. This is the case of the Forgotten Family. October 19, 2018, Brookhaven, Ohio, a quiet suburban town that rarely made headlines. But that morning, local officer Ellen Carter was dispatched to a distressed male wandering near Riverbend Park. She found Daniel, mid-40s, well-dressed but disheveled, barefoot, mumbling to himself. He said he'd gone for a walk, and when he came back, his house was gone. Not physically, but in every way that mattered. He told police his wife's name was Claire Reeves and they had 2 kids, Ethan and Maggie. He described the paint color of the house, the number of steps on the porch, even the smell of the kitchen after Sunday pancakes. Every detail matched public records of a home at 42 Maple Drive. But when officers knocked, a woman named Karen Holloway opened the door. A teacher, married, 2 kids, family photos on the walls, birthday balloons still half deflated. The Holloways said they'd bought the home 6 years ago. Daniel swore that was impossible. He'd been there last night. He'd kissed his kids goodnight. And yet, his fingerprints weren't anywhere in that house. Detective Mark Hanlon, a veteran of the Brookhaven PD, took the case. At first, he thought Daniel was suffering from dissociative amnesia, maybe brought on by trauma. But something about Daniel's insistence unnerved him. He didn't act lost. He acted erased. Daniel remembered birthdays, neighbors, license plates, even a small crack on the mailbox. When detectives checked property records, they found something odd. A gap. Between 2012 and 2014, the ownership file for 42 Maple Drive had been reissued twice, both times under different names. No legal explanation, no sales documents, just digital traces overwritten like corrupted data. Then came something stranger. When Hanlon searched for Daniel Reeves in the National ID database, nothing came up. No driver's license, no employment records, no tax filings for the last 5 years. It was as if Daniel Reeves had never existed. And yet, his fingerprints did exist, on file from a college arrest in 1998. So who had wiped everything else? When police revisited the house, they found small inconsistencies. The Holloways' moving records were incomplete. Their deed-on-S notary signature belonged to a woman who died in 2010. And in the basement, beneath a layer of drywall, they found something Daniel had described exactly. A child S height chart scratched into a wood beam, marked Ethan 6 and Maggie 4. The Holloways claimed they'd never seen it before. Daniel collapsed when he saw it. He traced the grooves with his fingers, whispering his children's names. Tears filled his eyes as he turned to Detective Hanlon. "They were real," he said. "You can't erase what's real." Hanlon ordered a psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Marilyn Trent, a cognitive specialist, met Daniel for several sessions. Her notes described him as lucid but fragmented. He remembered the layout of the house better than his own age. He could name the family dog, Scout, but couldn't recall what year his children were born. She ran hypnosis therapy, and that's when things turned. Under trance, Daniel began describing himself from outside his own body. A man sitting in his living room watching another man play with his children. He said, "It's me, but it's not me." Dr. Trent noted in her report, subject exhibits signs of temporal displacement, memory patterns inconsistent with linear time perception. Was it a mental breakdown, or had Daniel somehow slipped between 2 overlapping realities, one where his family existed and one where they never had? A week later, Hanlon received a call from the police archive department. They'd found old recordings in storage from a 2013 missing persons case. The label read, "Reeves, Claire and children. Case status, closed, unsolved." Hanlon's blood ran cold. He played the tape. An old, crackling recording began. "We moved to Maple Drive last year. Daniel's been different, paranoid, says someone's watching us, says the house remembers things. The woman's voice was strained. I think he's seeing things. But last night he said he saw another version of us, sitting in the living room, laughing. The tape stopped abruptly. Hanlon stared at the player. The voice on the recording was unmistakable, Claire Reeves, but the timestamp on the file, April 14th, 2013, 5 years before Daniel's disappearance. He called Daniel in for questioning, but when Daniel arrived, his hands were shaking. He said he'd started having dreams again, of a mirror in the house basement, and behind the reflection, his family, waving goodbye. That night, Hanlon returned to 42 Maple Drive with a warrant. In the Holloway's basement, behind a panel of sheetrock, they found it. A mirror, old, dusted, its frame carved with initials, DR plus CR. As Hanlon inspected it, he noticed a strange phenomenon. His reflection lagged a fraction of a second behind his real movements. He called Daniel to the scene. When Daniel stood before the mirror, his breath fogged the glass. For a moment, the reflection showed not him, but a family of 4, smiling behind him. Then, nothing. Just darkness. Daniel screamed. He pounded the mirror until his hands bled, shouting their names. Hanlon pulled him away, but Daniel kept repeating, "They're in there. You can't see them, but they're in there." 2 days later, Daniel vanished from police custody. Security footage showed him walking down the corridor at 3:07 a.m. Then, a burst of static. When the feed resumed, he was gone. Hanlon returned to the house one last time. The Holloways had moved out overnight. Neighbors said they left without packing. The new buyers? They never showed up. The house now stood empty. But in the front yard, beneath the leaves, Hanlon found a photograph. A family portrait. Daniel, Claire, Ethan, and Maggie. Their faces smiling. And behind them, a faint shadow of another identical house, blurred, like a reflection in water. Some say Daniel never existed. Others claim he was a man who lost his mind trying to rebuild his past. But in Brookhaven, locals whisper that sometimes, if you walk past 42 Maple Drive at midnight, you can still see the lights flicker on. And in the window, a family sitting together, frozen in time. Detective Hanlon retired that year. He never solved the case. But his final report contained just one handwritten note. Reality doesn't forget people. People forget reality. The human mind clings to patterns, to homes, faces, names, believing memory defines truth. But what if memory is just the story we tell ourselves to stay sane? In the case of Daniel Reeves, one thing became clear. Sometimes the scariest crimes are the ones that never officially happened. Thank you for watching. If you were captivated by this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more mysteries that challenge what you think you know. We'll see you next time.